It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I don't care if you get C's and D's and E's and F's for the rest of your life. I mean, I do. I want you to have a great life, but your value as a person isn't related to your grades. My feelings for you are unconditional. I love you no matter what, regardless of the grades you get.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the founder of happyfamilies.com.au and the author of the brand new book, The Parenting Revolution.
Did you just go down into your deep voice?
I did. I just put on my, I'm being very serious. I was once a presenter and I still know how to stay.
It's your stage voice.
I just tried to say, I still know how to say stuff and I couldn't. The irony, I still know how to say stuff. I clearly don't know how to say some stuff, like how to say stuff. We're making a mess of this, but we're going to keep on going because sometimes life is like that. You make a mess and you just keep on going. See what I did there? Did you like that? Come on, give me some acknowledgement.
I was listening to one of the podcasts the other day in the car with the kids.
Right.
And at the end of it, I thought, wow, I actually sounded like the expert in that.
Do you know, I get so many people. In fact, who was I talking to just the other day? Oh, I gave, we used to have a business manager and somebody who helped us with our Happy Families strategy for how we can reach more people and make a bigger impact in the world. Stacey, I was talking to Stacey the other day and she said, I love listening to the podcast, but no offense, I just think Kylie's great. I'm like, come on. This is the Dr. Justin Coulson's Happy Families podcast and everyone loves Kylie. And I can live with that because I have to.
Well, I was just going to say, I said to the kids, I think I sounded pretty good there. I sounded like I know what I'm talking about. And our 15-year-old piped up and she said, Mum, I think that was the best podcast I've heard. You spoke more in that podcast than I think you've ever spoken before. The 13-year-old pipes up in the background and she said, yeah, I still think Dad took over.
Oh, gosh.
You get it from all sides, don't you?
I do. Oh, man. I try so hard.
Anyway, come on. Let's go.
All right. So every Friday we call this episode I'll Do Better Tomorrow. This is where we reflect. We reflect on the week that was and our parenting and how we're going. Are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? How can we be better? And Kylie, lately I've been sharing a whole lot of wins. I feel like I've been really, really dialed in. And I'm going to share another win this week because
you're on a roll.
Well, do you know why? I've written this book and all I'm doing all day, every day is talking. I always talk about parenting, but it's like it's ramped up to times 10 at the moment. I've been doing so much media, so many interviews, so many podcasts, and we've got the TV show starting, Parental Guidance, Channel 9 and 9 Now on Monday night. And all I'm doing is talking about parenting at a whole new level. It's nonstop and it's making me better. Like it's reminding me constantly of all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. It's brilliant.
So we've noticed this actually pretty much every time you have released a book. There's this revived energy that comes around as a result of you being completely immersed in everything you're doing. And I'm not talking about you specifically. As a couple, the more you are doing this stuff, the more your game elevates and it allows me to elevate as well because I want to be better. We've had this BMX factor we talk about, this idea of wanting to be better people whenever we're around each other. And when one of us lifts our game, it actually just encourages the other one to meet them where they are.
So Kylie, for our I'll Do Better Tomorrow, would you like to go first so that the kids think that you get to talk a whole lot more?
I'll go first, not because of that.
Okay.
But I think that if you've got a great story, mine's more of an aha moment that I had while I read your book.
You're reading my book?
I'm reading your book. I haven't got all the way through it yet.
You're pretty darn close. I have seen it. I've seen the bookmark progressing through the pages and I'm so grateful.
Well, I told you just needed to be patient. I just needed the headspace to be able to nut down and actually give it the time and the energy that it required.
So I've got a question before you tell the story, the aha moment. I've called it the parenting revolution because I really truly believe that what I'm talking about is revolutionary. Like I shared the presentation that goes with the book at the Resilient Kids Conference a couple of weeks ago in Brisbane. And Karen Young from Hey Sigmund, wonderful psychologist, brilliant lady, incredible thinker. She said that what I had to say about parenting in the book, and what I said on stage was revolutionary. She said, I connected so many dots for her, and she's an experienced psychologist, been doing this for like 20 plus years. Would you say that you've had aha moments? Like, I don't think it's too big a word to say that this will revolutionize your parenting.
So it's a little bit tricky for me to be objective with your books because we talk so much about the stuff that you actually write about.
Is it different to read it though, rather than hearing me banging on about it all the time at home? Or does it just sound like you're reading me banging on about something?
No, for the most part, it's just like I'm having another conversation with you. What I love, I was going to do this for the book club review.
Okay.
Now you've got me talking about it.
We'll save it for the book club review then, because that's coming up in just a couple of weeks on the podcast. And I really want to hear what you've got to say in the right context. So I asked the question. That was my fault. Share the aha that you've had as you're reading the book.
So you talk about needs supportive parenting and what that actually looks like, and how for our kids to fully thrive, they need to have a sense of relatedness. Their relationships need to be intact.
Connection, yeah.
That they need to have a sense of competence.
Yeah.
And there's such a fine line between something that's too easy and something that's too hard. Finding that beautiful, safe space where there's enough challenge, but they can see that if they just work at this a little bit longer, they'll actually achieve.
Yeah.
And not. And then a sense of autonomy.
Yeah,
they
control,
need to be able to control their environment.
Mm.
And so as I was reading that, and I was thinking about, I guess the way I was raised and the way we're striving to raise our kids, I had this massive aha moment. I grew up in a pretty controlling home. And as a result, I didn't feel like my parents related to me. And therefore, I felt really out on a limb.
Yeah, this is the whole, you don't understand me. And the reason kids say that is because they feel like we're quashing their autonomy.
Intrinsically, I actually did know wholeheartedly that what my parents were trying to teach me was good. It was good for me, and it was just good. It was wholesome. It was true. It was right. But because I didn't feel like I had the autonomy to make my own choices, there was no other place for me to go than to choose wrong.
Rebellion.
Literally. Because for me to choose right didn't feel like it was my choice. It felt like every step of the way I was being forced to make the right decision, even though in my heart I knew it was the right decision. But I wanted to prove that I was capable of making my own decisions. And so the only decision left for me to make was the wrong one.
And you were a pretty good kid. You didn't make too many wrong decisions.
No, but sitting there in that space as I read that and recognized that, and knowing that my parents were doing the very best job they could to teach me right, and they did, and I knew it, just made me think about the times where my kids are playing up and they're making decisions that I wish they wouldn't. And recognizing that in that space, is that the only choice they see available to them because I haven't allowed them the autonomy to pick a different choice.
There's some pretty deep stuff there. You really need to read the book to get into the nitty-gritty of what Kylie's getting at. But that's what I want this book to do. I want it to provide those aha moments, those insights. And just to emphasize, this doesn't mean that we should just let the kids do whatever they want. It's actually about how we engage with them on the decisions that they're making.
One of the things that I love as we've tried to parent our kids, helping them to feel like we actually get where they're at and what they're going through, and we see the struggle. And I feel like that was probably, out of those three things, that was the thing that I struggled with the most. I didn't feel like my parents got me. They didn't understand what it was like to live my life. They just saw the right path to go, and I had to go down that road without recognizing just how challenging it was to be on that path.
So what does that mean for a parent who's listened to this that hasn't read The Parenting Revolution and perhaps won't? What does this really mean in terms of that 4-year-old or that 9-year-old or that 16-year-old that is in the living room and is surly or ornery and uncooperative and has all that attitude?
One of the things that we try really hard to do in our home is to let our kids know that we see them. And so by acknowledging what we're actually seeing. I remember once I tried in the early days when I was learning all of this and it was all very new to me. I remember saying to one of our kids who was acting up, "You're really angry at the moment." And they looked at me and they said, I am not angry. And they listed all of the emotions that they were, except for anger. It was not in there. I did not understand what they were going through. But being able to articulate what I'm actually seeing allows my kids to recognize that I actually see them. And then once we've acknowledged that that's what they're feeling, asking them how I can help them, how I can support them in it, allows them to feel like they actually get a say in how we work through this, as opposed to me just coming in with a bulldozer because I want to be the helpful parent and fix it for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm so glad that the book is creating a few aha moments since we've had so many conversations about it already.
What's your I'll do about it tomorrow?
So mine's a series of 3, but I'm going to keep them all short because they're all actually the same thing. So you've heard me say so many times on the podcast and in my presentations that the 3 most important words we can say to our children are not I love you, although that's what every parent thinks that they're supposed to say. The 3 most important words are no matter what.
You can only say no matter what if you've said those first 3 words.
That's right. But those 3 words become the most important in the context of hearing I love you first. And they are so important. So something that I emphasize all the time is love that is conditional is not love. So if you say to your child, oh, well, I love you so much when you do that, your child hears, so you don't love me then. So I don't have unconditional love. My love is conditional upon my behavior.
Or you'll only love me if I keep doing this.
Yeah, you'll only love me when. And that unconditionality is one of the sources of great anxiety and sadness and challenge for our children.
And you know, the challenging thing is, I can't speak for all parents, but I think that it's not actually a question of our love. It's our ability to show that love when we're hurting based on the choices that our kids make. When my kids make decisions that are different from the ones I want to make, I hurt because I worry, because I'm fearful of what the outcomes might be. It's not that my love changes, but that's what the kids see.
Well, over the last week, I've had interactions with 3 of our 4 children who are at home where things have been really tough for them at one moment or another. We've got our 19-year-old daughter who's going through an enormous study/career questioning time. She's left university. She's applying for jobs. She's thinking about going back to school, doing all kinds of things.
It's a teenage life crisis.
And it's wonderful. Like initially I thought, oh gosh, we've got a child who's dropping out of university. This is the end of the world. And then I thought, no. Great experience that she's had for the last 6 months.
I think you might have had a parenting expert tell you that might be.
I'm pretty sure that we did a podcast about this a while ago. But really, really valuable in terms of learning. But here she is. She's having a really hard time. At the same time, she's crashed my car and she's up for thousands of dollars. And everything in her life just feels heavy and hard right now for her. And it was a really, really special moment for me to go over to her and say, you're having a tough time. There's this happening and there's that happening. It's that whole I see you, I hear you, I value you kind of thing that you were talking about with your I'll do better tomorrow. And as we talked it over, I gave her a hug and I said, I don't care how many jobs you try out over the next little while. I don't care whether you sign up for apprenticeships or university courses or TAFE, or if you just go and whatever it is that you want to do. So long as you're looking for and working towards something that's meaningful and fulfillment, that's the main thing for me. But you need to know something, and that is that regardless of what you choose, I love you no matter what. And looking at her face as I had that conversation with her, it was just so special. And the way that she communicated with me and continues to communicate with me because she knows that I love her no matter what is just, it's delicious as a parent to have that experience. Second one of our kids is really struggling with her weight at the moment. She has some really significant body image issues and she's terribly concerned about the way she is perceived physically. One of her sisters said something cutting, something really unkind to her. And I heard it. I saw this daughter run away. I walked after her slowly, and when I found her, I sat beside her and I commented, when you hear things like that from your sisters who are supposed to love you no matter what, it's crushing, isn't it? And I gave her a big hug. And then I pretty much had the same conversation. I don't care how many custard tarts you eat. I don't care how many ice creams you eat. I don't care how many push-ups you can do. I don't care about anything when it comes to how you look, so long as you know that I love you no matter what. And again, she just burst into tears and put her head on my shoulder and cried. And then it was like she could get up and get on with things because she had that unconditionality. She knew it. And then one of our other kids who deals with a little bit of anxiety, she was struggling with some misunderstandings about something that I'd said to her. She got an A- on an exam, and she hadn't even been at school to study and learn the material because we'd been on that family holiday a few weeks back. She got an A-. She was so excited. When she told me, I just jokingly said, A-, I would have thought you'd get better than that. And I chuckled, and I thought she caught all the body language. She saw my face. I thought that she knew that I was kidding. And I said, you must be really happy. And I walked away or something like that. But whatever it was, I didn't respond to her with enough enthusiasm. And she missed all of the insinuated messages, all the body language messages that I thought I was sending loud and clear. And she had 2 or 3 nights where she didn't sleep because she was stressed about how in the world she was going to get her grades up to a level that Dad could be proud of her. And when I went into her on that morning, when you said to me, Justin, this is on you, and you explained a little bit, and I went and asked her more, and she told me, she said, I'm not sleeping because I can't get my grades high enough, and I just can't do enough, and I don't know how I can make you proud. And I had the same conversation with her. I don't care if you get C's and D's and E's and F's for the rest of your life. I mean, I do. I want you to have a great life, but your value as a person isn't related to your grades. My feelings for you are unconditional. I love you no matter what, regardless of the grades you get, regardless of anything. You're my daughter. And it was almost like I had that conversation with her, and she got up and got on with life. And she became a different kid almost straight away. My I'll Do Better Tomorrow is just the power of unconditional love and the way that it draws our children to us. And, you know, the things that you were talking about in your I'll Do Better Tomorrow, it's a perfect combination of concepts. Had you as a daughter felt that your parents had you unconditionally, loved you completely unconditionally, my guess is that you wouldn't have felt the need to push back. Instead, you would have felt drawn to them. You would have known that you could go to them with anything, that they would understand anything that you had to say to them, and that you could work things out with them. You could problem solve and get things progressing. No matter what. They're my 3 favorite words. They're the 3 of the most important words that anybody can ever hear. And that's my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. If a parent is struggling right now as they listen to this conversation, struggling with their relationship with their children, be warned, you might fail. It's hard to get this right. We've been practicing for a long time. But those kids knowing no matter what happens, no matter how angry they are, no matter what horrible things they do, that we've got them no matter what. It's just such a powerful, powerful thing to make families flourish. So Kylie, I'm so glad you shared your ideas. That's mine. I'll Do Better Tomorrow. We'll return next Friday at the end of our first week of season 2 of Parental Guidance. Cannot wait for this TV show. Please join us on Monday night, Channel 9, 7:30, or catch up on the 9 Now app. Parental Guidance Season 2 just around the corner. And of course, the Happy Families podcast will be back on Monday. Oh, you know what? On Monday, we're going to have a chat with the executive producer of the show. And you, Kylie, are in the hot seat asking all the questions. Can't wait for that. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. Have a great weekend. And for more info about making your family happier, check out my book, The Parenting Revolution. It will revolutionize your family. Or visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.